So, you know, a lot of things that happen in Revit as well not only help you have this very accurate model, but it also increases the individual accountability of the user. And I think that that's something that's really great because you have a such better understanding of what's in your model. You have a much better understanding of what it takes to construct this model. And that helps you to facilitate conversations with your clients, with contractors, with consultants about what's in the model, what the issues are, and what needs to be fixed. So, and you know, just even different things, you know, even if you're, you know, depending on what city you're in and what your standards are, when you start getting into Department of Building sets and into DOB sets that have a different sheet number naming convention than maybe your typical set does, BIM is set up in a way to reduce the amount of tracking done on your end. It wants you to plan early. I almost look at it as an exponential curve to where there's a lot of planning on the front end, and then basically as soon as you have these things in place, you're able to say, okay, now we've got the design. I'm ready to model. I'm ready to start putting together my set of construction documents, and that modeling and documentation process skyrockets through the roof. You know, so that once I'm going to cut just a random section here, I've modeled this floor plan, or I've modeled these stairs, and I want to look at a section of the stair. I want to see how this is working. Just by doing the 3D modeling, you can see that a section that I would have had to start from scratch in AutoCAD that would have taken a very long time is done in the matter of a couple of clicks. Granted, the follow-up of this is that you have to really utilize your view templates and your visibility settings to make sure that this section is showing the way that you want to. But these are those things on the front end that you can look at your current CAD standards. You can look at your current CAD workflows, and you can look at visually how your firm decides to visually communicate this information. Set that up on the front end so that you start to have a library of view templates that are your firm's typical quarter-inch view template, typical 1/8" floor plan, typical quarter-inch enlarged, you know, typical RCP, typical overall building section. And then once you get those details sort of figured out, the next time you start your next project, all of that is already there for you. All of that is already set up. It also makes those things very easy to update as your firm grows, as things change, as the next, you know, visual thing takes over. You're able to really get to a place where everyone is on the same page. You know what's in the model, you know what it's going to look like, you know what's going to go on the sheet. It takes a lot of the questions out of things, and it takes, you know, a lot of, you know, when you deliver your set, you don't want someone else finding an incorrect wall type because you changed the wall, but someone forgot to change the tag. And so you know that whenever you see those walls and you see those wall tags, if there's a wall tag there, it is showing you exactly what's in the model. And then I think, you know, one of the last things to look out for, you know, earlier when I mentioned sometimes folks use Revit like CAD, is that sometimes when you don't know the answers, people have this almost need in their body to dummy something and to go into these annotative detail line tools and just draw things that it's just a 2D element that has nothing associated with it. This is where you really want to look at what is 2D, what's 3D, what needs this sort of smart parameters and smart information associated with it. You know, does a dotted shaft line really need all of that information? No, it doesn't. But, you know, let's build that into the shaft itself rather than a series of 2D lines that happen over and over and over again. The point of this is to reduce the over and over and over again, and the checking and the checking and the checking and the tracking and the tracking. You know, so that rather than someone basically having a full-time job of tracking everything, they're able to produce more drawings, more details, more coordination, more design options, more actual design. And so, you know, you really want to make sure that you sort of steer clear of as many dummy tags and dummy things as you can, because if I create a dummy tag in Revit, I am basically using Revit like CAD, and I'm going to have to remodel that one day anyways in order to get it to show correctly. So rather than creating a dummy element, just create a more generic element. Start with, start with a basic generic wall. If I have this basic generic wall, I can always come in here later and edit the type and duplicate my wall and change the structure of what this is. Let's say I want this to be 6 inches. So that this changes, and now I have both of these wall types in here, right? So rather than taking and saying, oh, okay, well, right out the gate, maybe I want this line to be here, and then, saying this is, I'm going to do an offset, and this is going to be my 6-inch wall. Let's go ahead and create this generic wall. And then as the design increases and gets more developed, you can always come back and change this. So rather than dummying everything from the beginning, just start off more generic, and then that leaves itself open to then add more detail and add more things later that, again, can be scheduled later, put on sheets later, so that you reduce this tracking exercise.